You see, for decades, the West, they've weaponized a strategy, and that's what we call the slow march through the institutions. And if you don't know what it is, it's a long game infiltration of the media, education, politics, and even religion. The ultimate goal of this is to undermine Western civilization, is to rewrite history, and it's to weaken the moral and national fabric that holds society together. You see, the Marxists, the Islamists, the globalists, and the ideological allies have found willing partners in the Islamists, and together they've done what once seemed unthinkable. They've reshaped the culture, they've undermined free speech, and they've turned Christian nations into the shadow of their former selves. You see, you'd think that radical Islam and Marxism would be natural enemies because one claims devotion to religious fundamentalism and the other to atheistic materialism, but they do share a common enemy, and that's Western civilization, Christianity, and national identity. And that is enough for them to join forces in dismantling it. You see, the Marxists, they push mass migration, but the Islamists exploit it. One side of it wants unrecognisable Britain to destroy the nation state, and the other wants a caliphate to rise from the ruin. You see, Marxists undermine tradition, yet Islamists enforce their own. Christianity is mocked, Christmas is erased, but somehow Sharia courts, well, that's multiculturalism. The Marxists love to control speech, and the Islamists, they love to enforce blasphemy laws. If you criticise Islam, that's hate speech. But if you start burning the Bible, they'll class it as free expression. See, while this was happening, the Christian establishment once was thought of the bedrock of the West. They simply surrendered. The church went soft. It was obsessed with being inclusive rather than standing for the truth. Instead of standing against the subversion of Christian nations, the clergy simply embraced it. See, the clergy preach open borders instead of defending their own flock. Churches are flying the LGBT alphabet mafia flags, but they won't speak up against the grooming gangs. Cathedrals, they hold interfaith prayers at the same time as they know that Christians are being persecuted in Islamic nations. They won't say a thing. This is the same church that sent missionaries to spread the word of Christianity. It now apologises for its own existence. That's how far it has got. And while Christians are being silenced in their own lands, radical mosques are multiplying unchecked. But let's get it straight, because this isn't about religion alone. It's about civilization, culture, national survival. You see, the slow walk through the institution has been devastatingly effective. Britain is not the same Britain. Europe isn't the same Europe, and the West, sorry, it's not the same West as it used to be. But that doesn't mean that it's over. You see, the first step we all have to do is to wake up and see the enemy for what it is. The second thing we've got to do is push back. Stop apologising for defending your own faith. Stop apologising for defending your culture, traditions and country. And the third thing, one of the most important thing, is to rebuild what we've lost. You know, we need to rebuild a society that values strength, tradition and the Christian moral foundations that once made societies great. The left and the Islamists, they think they're winning. They think they've won. But history tells us one thing. History belongs to those who refuse to surrender. And we are not a nation of surrender monkeys.